It'll be life changing.
Check.
Yeah, you're good now.
I got this belly I got to work around now.
We live, Cole? On everything, boy. We are live. My what? Oh, you sure? Oh, was D on Max's too?
Oh, was mine on Max's? Yeah.
That was probably confusing. Sorry. You're good. What's good? What's good? Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. About to do training talk on ARMZ. We right with you. Oh, we got Merry Christmas from Amsterdam. What's up, Dave? What up? Okay,
we're good.
Good. Cole's on the struggle bus over here.
Check.
Yeah, sounding clear. Sounding like Ghostface over there, D.
Yeah. It's your boy Tony Starks.
I don't know. Did it log me out? Oh, that one. You give it to me. I don't want to say it on camera.
Can't say the password live on there.
There you go. That's all I need. That'd probably be a bad move. All right. So D.
Yo.
Training talk. We talked about what? Chest. We talked back.
Yeah, we started with chest, of course, Universal Chest Day. We went to kind of what we could consider the universal most important back day.
For sure.
But now
ARMZ.
Let's go.
So listen, a couple ways to attack ARMZ.
Mm-hmm.
And some people believe that you polish it, off with a back day, you hit some biceps, chest, you hit some triceps. Other conventional thought is you do only biceps, only triceps. And then lastly, the way I prefer to do it is actually them together. So what was your entry point in the arm training? And then what do you prefer currently with your swole ass arms, Paco?
Right. Well, I think first off, I kind of agree with you. I like to do, kind of bis and tris together as almost like a separate workout. But I also like to kind of polish off my pushing and pulling workouts.
Yeah.
So after, chest day, you already have a pump in your triceps. Why not kind of finish them off with some push downs, some accessory work or whatever? But I think kind of early on, I was following the workouts my dad had taught me and, kind of came via the pumping iron, the Arnold Encyclopedia. It was all about chest, shoulders, triceps, back and biceps. So it was like you do the big muscle group first, and then you do that accessory work. We didn't say accessory.
Yeah.
We
didn't know that term until much later.
No, I just learned that like a year ago.
Yeah.
But that was definitely the way we did it. And probably one of the reasons I felt like I got good growth in my arms right away is I was always doing a lot of high rep body weight movements, chin ups, dips, stuff like that.
I think I like, so I've trained them both ways, only just arms on the same day, only just the same, like polish off kind of motion where you're going biceps after back work. I really think the way I saw the most growth is really do it both ways during the week.
Right.
I kind of like touching a couple supersets on those days to complement the big muscle groups, and then far enough away from those to have its own just blowout day of both. That seems like it's the kind of secret sauce.
I think this might be one of the areas where you and I still train very similarly.
Yeah.
No. A lot of the stuff we do is very different.
Yeah.
I think our arm philosophy is really aligned.
And my arms have honestly, like, I always feel like your triceps were as big as your head. I don't know. It seemed like,
but they've always been big.
They've always been big. So I felt like my biceps on the other side were always pretty good size for me. So I always felt like I had to bring up my tricep game, and I had to hit them more often to also, try to help with the powerlifting bench work. But what's interesting is my chest was so far ahead of my arms that it took me till I was probably 35 to catch up. Maybe
you were like the kid that you see walking around that hasn't hit puberty yet, but they got size 12 shoes.
Yeah,
and
my pecs.
It was like that with your pecs. Exactly. Everything had to kind of hit that growth spurt and catch up.
So funny. I remember seeing this picture the other day. I'm with Matt Lucas and Rocker at the first place over on 12th Ave in Columbus. And I'm outside, like, I don't know, having 40 or drinking something. and I got skinny arms, skinny legs, and big ass chest.
You probably had a wife beater on,
Yeah,
right?
of course. Yeah, or no shirt. And we were like doing it was like our first year we lived in Columbus, and I just started laughing to myself because I remember, and honestly, once I had my shoulder hurt a little bit last year, actually, my pecs are now coming back full go, but I continued to, obviously work on my arms because I could train them heavy. And it was like, I almost have like this thing, like I know my pecs are going to come back because that's like my
Mhm.
God-given part, basically. It's kind of funny, but arm training was always a little different for me. I always felt better with some low rep work, but I saw a lot more benefit by high rep work. And when people read the Get Stacked plan or they see the arm training from me, they're always like, oh, I'm not going to do high reps. It's going to make my arms small.
Wah, wah,
Yeah,
wah.
Arnold and those guys used to do some cheating principles, but they did crap loads of volume.
Mhm.
He was doing 6 sets of 30 reps deep, um, on a deep, like dipping motion to finish off his triceps with a huge stretch and trying to explode like his arms with the amount of blood flow. Like you don't get that pump from 5 reps.
You don't, and I think now I do like to do some low reps on certain things, maybe on dumbbell sculls
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and
same.
barbell curls and stuff. But I think
Maybe for
overall,
one movement.
correct. I think overall for your arm accessory work, you got to figure they're getting so much, heavy loads with low reps when you're doing your presses and your
Mhm.
heavy rows and stuff like that. That's a lot of wear and tear on the joints
Yeah, for
too.
sure.
So like on those other days, kind of, protect the joint, but also get that great pump and encourage some I can't even talk today.
Hypertrophy.
Hypertrophy, another big word for you right
Yeah,
there.
boy.
Get those higher reps where you're getting a really good squeeze. Now, I like to do that, especially on triceps, but on biceps, what I found is works the best for me is still doing some lower rep, heavier stuff, but supersetting 2 or 3 different types of curls together.
Yeah, you can catch D out here with them straight bar curls 135. Catch him out here in the streets.
That's right. But
No,
maybe we'll go from like, say, a heavy dumbbell curl, like triples with like 60-pound dumbbells, then right to a barbell for a set of 5, then hammers for a set of 5. So you're really still kind of doing a set of 12 to
yeah,
15,
sure.
but it's, three movements kind of broken up.
Yeah, I found a lot of good value in people will always be like, "Oh, you're, using too much swing or
Ah,
whatever."
get out of
But
here
I
with
used
that.
to get, and I read Arnold doing these overload principles, especially with straight bar curls, getting a little bit of a bump, I call it out of the bottom, getting that real good bicep squeeze at the top, and then eccentrically, like, controlling it on the way down. And, if I'm hitting 6, 8 reps with 135, when I was the strongest at my curl, I was doing the Dave Draper curls with 135, but I used to do curl competitions, which I'm going to do another one 100% in 2021.
Now, if I remember correctly, there is a plaque at Old School Gym,
There
and it's
is
for the state record in the strict curl.
in the strict
Let's
curl,
hear
and
about
I
that.
think it was 100 and
I think 175
one,
or
yeah, 175, 177. I can't remember. I made 182 and they didn't count it. They said I moved myself too much, but
yeah, but this is like legs locked out, like
legs
no
locked out,
swing,
no
no.
swing on
Yeah.
an easy curl bar. And it's so funny is that competition is, get this, curl, bench, and deadlift. It's a total of those, which is
Yeah,
amazing.
there's no squat in that
No, there's
federation,
no
right?
squat in that. Well, there is in that federation, but not in that
Not in
class.
that
They call it
event.
power
Okay.
sports. But anyway, so the way I would train for that, Dave Draper, who's an old 70s bodybuilder, used to take the barbell up and touch his forehead with it, which you would have a little bit shoulders in it at the end, but you would feel a big peak. So I would train with 135 for sets of 10, touching my forehead, eccentrically coming down. And then when I would go to the easy bar with no swing, plates would feel like a joke.
Like nothing.
So that's how I trained for that. But I found a lot of good value in that. And then Sean Dorsey showing me incline dumbbell curls with that. You would do 8 reps alternating and then that stretch and I used to say, let them breathe. You're like rotating 360 while you're hanging in the incline and then doing another 4 reps. And it just feels like your biceps are going to explode with blood. I got that all the way from when I was probably like, I don't know, 17 or 18 from
Yeah, I
Sean's
remember you
garage.
teaching me that workout. We used to do it like on my dad's incline. You
Yeah,
lay
yeah, yeah.
back and stretch, and man,
His
it would
arms were huge too. He loved that.
legendary.
And he loved that exercise. And that was something because you would see Arnold do those, but then when I saw Sean, really taking his time, and then when he just let him just hang. And then when he started rotating his wrist, I was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Bro," he's like, "For some reason the fibers go crazy when you do this." And then he's like, "Then we hit another 4 more." And I remember they were 70% harder after you let it after you went. He would go like a 10 count. It was wild. But I always went to this. if I'm getting the craziest amount of blood and pump possible, not only am I going to feel like a fucking badass, but I always saw good shape and growth from that. And I've just always stated that. So when people come and do my workouts, they look at them, they're like, oh, I'm going to feel small after this. And then they get the fucking pump of their life.
Now, the crazy thing is, a lot of the arm stuff that I still do, very similar to what you do. Almost probably the only thing that's still in my training repertoire is kind of bodybuilding ish.
Mm-hmm.
And in the strength training world, or like the strength coach world, it's really like looked down upon
To do arms.
to do arms. Yeah, which always blows
Every
my mind.
motherfucker wants their arms to be
Everyone
big,
wants to
bro.
do
Even the
arms.
CrossFitters, dude. My boy from Boston used to say him and Rich Froning would do our arm workouts from Muscle Farm.
Right.
Yeah. It was
Secretly,
like,
probably.
yeah, James Hobart. Shout out to James. It's my dude. Him and Rich would do fucking the arm workouts from back in the day, which are high volume. I don't care if you're winning the motherfucking CrossFit games, you want your arms to be big.
I don't see any downside to having bigger, stronger arms, no matter what your sport is.
CT thinks that's where it's at.
I mean, you got to have something to do with it, right? So
I just think, there's no young, dude that's training that was like, yeah, I want to be strong and not have big arms. I mean, I don't get that.
Well, I'll even see like on Twitter. So, I follow a lot of different strength coaches on Twitter, and these guys that are super smart, and I'll see them try to like sneak in some stuff like, oh, today we did some accessory elbow flexion in the sagittal plane. It's like, bro, no, you did curls. Like, just say you had your
squat rack
curls. It's okay.
Yeah, because you have some of the athletes, as far as a lot of the wrestlers do, like heavy barbell curling. You catch heat, don't you?
Oh, dude, I get more hate on my page for that than anything.
No, I've seen that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, as soon as I post a video of like me and Colin doing like heavy, cheat bars.
What does this do for him? Why would you do that?
You're gonna hurt your back. And I always say, bro, if you hurt your back doing cheat curls, then the curls are the least of your
Colin
worries.
deadlifts well over 500 pounds, right? He's not going to fucking hurt his back doing 135-pound barbell curls. Get the fuck out of here.
Well, and the funny thing is, and I actually just thought of this just now, is that there was a time, I think, when I first started down at Ohio State, and I was like studying for my CSCS, and I was trying to get what I like to call too smart.
Yeah.
You start learning stuff. You start looking almost too much into the science, and you forget about maybe things that you liked or things that that helped you along the way because you're trying to get too smart.
Or things that already worked and you know about.
Exactly. Well, I remember I worked out with Coach Ryan one day.
Mm-hmm.
And Coach Ryan's
a
savage.
Yeah.
And I was teaching him some like like these ISO hold bicep workout it was a great workout, but I got it from Dr. Serrano and you couldn't go very heavy on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember Tom was like, let's not do this. Let's just do some barbell curls. And at the time, I probably hadn't done barbell curls in like a year or two.
Yeah.
And I was like, and in my head, I'm thinking like, that's too basic. We can't do it.
Yeah.
I was like, no, let's try these. Tommy's like, don't you have my guys do barbell curls? I was like, well, no, we're doing these and that. And he goes, I know when I was at Iowa, I would do heavy barbell curls and then I would feel like I could rip someone's head off when I tied up with them.
Boom.
And I remember thinking like,
yeah, exactly.
Yes, why are my guys not just throwing around heavy weight on this? It makes total sense. So
that's hilarious.
Tom, whether you realize it or not, you had a big impact.
Yeah, that's amazing. He is a straight savage.
So savage.
The other thing, I always had 2D, and I want to get your take on this.
Mm-hmm.
My rep counts from buys to tries, or they're in the high rep area. I was always like 15 to 20 on a bicep and then 20 to 30 on a tricep.
Yeah, I would say, I don't know if mine are quite that high, but we always go higher on triceps. Sure.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
So I wonder if it's just the different, I don't know why the pump would be different, but I don't feel that same pump at 15 on a tricep compared to like a 20 or 30.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe just from doing all the pressing movements over the years, we have better endurance in the triceps.
That might be it.
Or I think too, it kind of comes back to like, if you go super heavy, like even if I go super heavy on a dumbbell skull,
mm-hmm.
like the lowest reps might be like 5 to 8.
Yeah.
Whereas like curls, I mean, I might go to like the 70s and try to do doubles or something.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But I feel like if I tried to do something like that on a dumbbell skull, I would hurt my elbow.
Yeah, that's true. So there's kind of a diminishing return on those.
For sure.
Yeah, because every time I do a heavy cycle of those, I usually get my bench does go up, but then it's at some type of I start to have problems with my elbow. So yeah, I did. I was doing some pretty high reps. This was a crazy one the other day where we went chin, nose, forehead, bench, 20 reps in a row. It's an 80 rep set of skull crushers, and I used the quarters, and my triceps feel like they grew a tricep.
See, you say that you don't do any cardio besides
Yeah,
lunging, but
right.
that's basic cardio. If you do 80 reps of anything,
I
it's
remember I
cardio.
remember writing this out, and I got some good questions on it too. Like, is that 20? Like, they were trying to like do math differently. I'm like, no, it's 80 reps,
No,
bro.
80 reps, add it up.
But I think once again, if you're at the end of a meet and you're fucking tired and you're trying to lock out a bench, if you can make it through an 80 rep set with a medium weight and you're pumped, like that, those contribute not only that, but all that joint health, all the connective tissue. Like that's why Louis has those guys do 200-300 band pushdowns every day.
Well, I think the point that you got to make and make sure people understand too, like that's not the only thing you do.
No.
You know,
Yeah.
so if you're
That's like the
only
third exercise.
exactly
That
so
might
if
be
you
people's whole workouts though.
right. Yeah, if the only thing you were doing for arms is a bunch of sets of 20, then yeah, you
Yeah,
probably
no.
wouldn't get stronger.
No.
But you've already done your strength stuff, and it's not
Yep.
like, all right, I did my heavy stuff, now I'm out the door.
Yeah,
You're
true.
still doing stuff to encourage growth and build endurance and the joint integrity and stuff like that.
Well, one thing I was challenged with a little bit during COVID was trying to create a body weight bicep exercise. So I
Right.
don't know if you have one, but I'll tell my favorite one, and I actually learned this from Sean Dorsey too, was basically a chin up that's like a 3/4 chin up with your knees up.
Oh,
So
okay.
the
Like you're
weights,
seated almost.
yeah, so you're
Yeah,
seated,
yeah.
so the weight's in front of you, and then you can do like a 3/4 pump, and it gives you a legit bite. It's almost like
All that pressure's on the bicep
yeah,
right
yeah, it's
there.
pretty cool. So I
Yeah,
don't know,
yeah.
do you have anything like that? Never talked about this, I don't
Yeah, yeah.
think.
So we actually did these today.
Okay.
Yeah, me and not the name drop, but me and Braxton Miller
Oh!
and Clay Reeves.
Yeah.
You know, so we hit some arms after they boxed this morning, and we did some heavy easy bar curls, and then
Mhm.
we went right to the rings, and we're underneath of it, almost like a ring row glute bridge position. But instead of rowing, we were doing like forehead curls
Ah,
with our body
okay.
weight.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
you could do the same thing like in a squat rack, like with a low bar
Mhm.
underneath of it.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're basically just doing a body weight assisted forehead curl.
I
That's one
like
of my
that.
favorites.
Okay. I had when I was doing some of the band work, I would wrap a black band and kind of do the same thing
Mhm.
from the top for the band and body weight workout. And then for triceps, there's obviously a lot more options. I mean, I love like the body weight skull crusher, obviously multiple dipping things.
Yeah, even just doing like real high rep, like lockout, like seated dips almost
Yeah,
on the end of
yeah,
the
yeah.
steps or whatever. You can do sets of 50 of that and get an incredible tricep blow.
Yeah, that's for sure. And you put freaking dip racks in your backyard. Like, so you obviously have
Correct.
seen a lot of value in that.
Definitely.
The I'm trying to think of something else. Arm. What do you think are your top? Let's go through this.
Mhm.
Top 3 bicep exercises, top 3 tricep exercises.
All right, so top bicep exercise. I'm going to go with my number one is heavy straight bar cheat curls, which you already talked
Unanimous.
about. Yeah, it's unanimous. It's the goat right there.
Yep.
This number two is high rep chin ups and not even going to a full extension. Probably not quite that 3/4 like you're talking
Yeah,
about with
yeah.
Sean Dorsey, but just good squeeze in the top, coming down where your lats are still engaged and repping them out.
Mhm.
That's number two. Number three, I'm going to go with alternating dumbbell curls with a pause at the top.
Ooh, I like it. I think I'm gonna. My top 3 is same. I think heavy. There's nothing like when everything feels good and you're doing this heavy overload. So I think cheating barbell curls is huge. Something about curling the plates that just feels good too.
It feels
It
amazing.
does feel amazing. I would say second for me is when a couple years ago I came up with that rep progression with dumbbells. You can use 20 or 30s where you go 1 regular rep, 1 hammer curl, 2 regular reps, 2 hammer curls, and you go to 6.
Didn't you used to do one like that where I remember like the T3 days, you would like lean to the
Yeah,
side
the
too.
G curls. The
The
third
G
one was
curls.
concentration curl, but I never progressed like that with the reps. I think I went like 1. I don't. Maybe
So
I
this
did
would
go
be,
1, 1, 1, 2, 2. Maybe I did do it that way. Actually, now that you
but
think
either
about it.
way, so you do one of each, then two of each.
Yeah, and then
what
up
do you
to
go up to?
like 6. So it's still like you're getting a decent amount of volume, but you can still go somewhat heavy.
Mm-hmm.
I have those in about every other get stacked. They blow people's minds every time. You can also do a regular hammer curl and then a crossbody type of hammer curl too, back and forth, 1, 1, 2,
Yeah,
2.
yeah.
That feels pretty good. And I would say number 3, this is one we've been using most recently, is for some reason the easy bar curl that goes onto the cable
Okay.
for reps of 25 for some fucking reason gives me the craziest pump. And we use this
You
as
guys
what,
doing these standing or
yeah,
seated?
standing. And you
Okay.
can do them on a preacher too. But a lot of times we do this is like a warm-up where we'll do a push down for 25 or 30, and then that standing cable curl with just like a medium weight for 25 or 30 and go through 5 sets. And dude, we're fucking smoked before we even get to the heavy stuff. We use it as like just fill it up.
Right.
I would say my fourth is is a close four, a 3.5 is the incline curls with the twist.
The old Sean
Yeah, the
Dorsey
old Sean
special.
Dorsey one. What about triceps?
Triceps, oh man. I mean, my overall favorite tricep exercise is dips,
Okay.
you know,
Beat
but
skull crushers for you.
it beats skull crushers for me.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
skull crushers are hard number one for me.
Yeah.
But
So
I can't always do them as heavy as I want, but
right.
I fucking love
Well,
them.
dumbbell skulls would be my number 2. Then number 3 is a strict push down for like super high reps, 25 to 30 reps.
So I definitely think easy bar skull crushers is my number one. I do like doing the heavy dumbbell rollbacks too, which I learned at Westside. Like, I started doing like almost like speed work with those too. Like I would just get like 60s or 70s and just grab them and pull and just like to like.
And then when you guys do those, you guys come all the way down, kind of set them on the mat,
yeah,
and then pop on the way up.
Both bells have to touch the ground,
right?
So you tuck them into your front delt, roll it back. Your elbow will cave a little bit, so it's not quite like a straight skull crusher, but it's that force going through. I think those are number 2. Number 3 for me, which is a favorite of Cole Susak's too, is using the tricep bar from the lower pulley, but doing it Arnold style with that big stretch from the bottom pulley and up. He has a couple pictures of like the old muscle magazines where he used a rope like that and he's all ripped down and that elbow stretch is super.
I've seen that. Almost looks like he's ripping his arms off his body.
Yeah. So that is probably 3. We keep that in a good bit. I have a lot of tricep moves I really enjoy, but those are 3 I think I like when I program them, I'm fucking super pumped about it.
Well, I'll tell you, there's not a lot of like isolation movements that I use anymore or that I really like, but I do really like a single dumbbell overhead extension.
Yeah.
Nice and strict with that arm close to your head. I feel like there's nothing that really hits like that tie-in, right? Where your lat and tricep tie in quite like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of pictures of Sergio Olivier doing stuff like that, who had massive I saw some pictures of him the other day again, like in those 70s polyester suits or shirts. His arms are so big, he had to cut slits in the side, bro. That was real. The other thing I picked up from Arnold was a 20 rep push down with a straight bar with those 20 rep pumpers at the last quarter inch.
And so those were almost more like a.
So he still kept
like press, right?
We've done them that way too, but he kept them tight. So he would go also all the way up almost to his neck to like stretch it all the way down for the 20 heavy. And then the last quarter, he would overload 20. So it was like a 40 rep set. That always gives a fucking super sick pump too.
Sick.
Yeah. So sick.
So sick.
All right, D, what's the biggest your arms ever were?
Oh, man.
Probably 18s.
I think at one time,
like we don't measure our arms anymore. But
no,
I mean, at one point that was
like in my 20s, like we were bodybuilding. I used to measure them all the time.
Well, because you went up to like 190 or
190, yeah.
And I remember your arms were fucking.
So for perspective, I'm 180, 181 right now, and I feel thick.
Yeah.
Julie's calling me thicky thick right
now. Oh!
but so yeah, in the off season 1 year for bodybuilding, I got up to 190. I mean, I think I only weighed 190 for like one day. I think I was mainly like 188, 189.
But that was real big, yeah.
Yeah, it was big for me. So yeah, I feel like my arms at that time were like 18 and a quarter.
Yeah, I believe that.
And they looked retarded.
They looked like they didn't fit on your body.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think at the time I didn't like really train like my calves the right way or my neck. So my arms were just like gigantic. It looked kind of funny.
I don't think mine ever hit 18, but I think I was like 17 and 3/4, like in that range. But I remember thinking like I definitely 1,000,000% always was hammer my triceps because I felt like they were really far behind because I didn't train triceps early, not near as much as I did biceps. And it seemed like until I found the one skull crushers was huge, but even at that, I still got a better pump with a higher rep skull crusher. So until I found that rep range, I didn't get the same kind of growth in my triceps until I started training them like with higher reps. That's why I've stuck to it.
Well, I wonder if there's something there where, you know, you weren't really predisposed to have big triceps, although you do now from all the years of work.
Yeah, now they get kind of gremlinish sometimes.
Yeah, so but I wonder if you know, for people that are listening, like if you have a body part that's stubborn, maybe that's the way that you got to kind of, you know, it's not about, you know, necessarily doing the heavy weight to kind of get through that plateau. It might be the high volume.
Yeah,
I think the example for me would be my calves. You know, back in my bodybuilding days, my calves were so pathetic. They didn't even look like they matched my body. I would do all kinds of super heavy calf raises, all kinds of crazy sets, and they never grew at all until I started boxing and running and jumping weight. So you figure all those, you know, when you jump rope for 30 minutes straight, that's tons
which is
and tons
volume.
of reps. It's volume, exactly.
Yeah, it's fucking like 3,000 reps of jumping.
Yeah, so now I mean, my calves are, I mean, I wouldn't say they're big, but they at least match the rest of my body.
Yeah, they're symmetrical now.
Yeah, so maybe, you know, for someone out there that's listening that, you know, you got small pecs, whatever it is,
the volume has to be. I think that's a good. I think that makes a lot of sense because I remember thinking like I'm going to force these motherfuckers to change. That's
Command you to grow.
yeah, exactly, and that's what you have to do. And I think that I still kind of take that approach, even though now I feel like they're the most symmetrical they've ever been. But I feel like that's what it took, though. But people don't really read that in a book, D. I think that's where.
Mm.
So, and this is where the old style gyms like we own come into play because you got the old heads at the gym that been in the game forever, which we saw at old, World's Livingston, or maybe some of the guys I had met at West Side,
And now we're
or
those old heads.
exactly. And that's kind of my point that they have tricks of the trade. They had a body part they had to bring up. They learn from guys even older than them, as have we. And you have those things like, 4 sets of 12 ain't going to do it. Like it's going to take 5 drop sets. You have to train them twice a week. You're going to have to do body weight. You're going to like, if you have to literally force that muscle to do something different than maybe what it was predisposed or your genetic potential was, you can outlast that by throwing crazy shit at it.
I think too, sometimes people don't understand how to bring the same intensity that they would bring to like a bench or a deadlift or a squat workout to their accessory work.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
Yeah.
you think like if you, let's say you have something programmed for 15 reps for a push down or for a curl or whatever, they might just grab a random weight. They can feel the burn, they feel the squeeze, but they're not necessarily progressing. They grab that same weight
Mhm.
every week. Whereas I know probably how you think, it's probably the same way I think. If I'm supposed to get 15 reps and I grab a weight that I probably think I can grab 11 or 12 with, because if you can
Mhm.
get 12, you can grind out 3 more.
Yeah, it's true.
You know what I
Yep.
mean? Especially on curls and stuff like that, if you got to swing a little bit, I would rather have to push and get more than get the 15 easy and call it a day. So I think people need to kind of understand that you have to still push on your accessory work. And let's say if it was programmed for 15, you get to that 15 easy, then do 20 or 25.
Yeah,
Just do
yeah.
more.
I actually brought that up with my guys based around their bench work because we're struggling at the top, and I said make sure that you're pushing your tricep work heavy all the time. And I've showcased like the different strength level that my triceps are, even though I've been banged up with my chest, like my tricep strength like way a lot crazier than most of the guys I train with. And it's because that's how them West Side dudes told me to do it. Like
Mhm.
you can't be slacking off on this or that because that's going to show up on your main movement. So that makes sense, D. You got to be
Yeah,
conscious of that.
for sure.
I like it. Where else you want to go with this, D?
So let's think, and I haven't put any thought into this, but
Well, no,
I
we just
thought,
hit the button.
yeah.
We just hit the button. Go ahead.
So think of maybe some mistakes you've made in arm training in the
Mhm.
past. What do you think?
Oh, so I had crazy bicep tendonitis before.
Mhm.
Crazy forearm tendonitis. I'm sure you maybe like where I did so many straight bar curls too heavy that when I would set it down, it would be like it's almost like having a shin splint in your forearm.
Right, right.
So I had that where I couldn't curl for a while because I was curling way too often, which sounds fucking amazing. I used to, and I program. I haven't programmed these. They're going to be in Get Stack 70, but I did them the other day at the gym. I love skull crushers and tucking them behind my head and coming up around. It's almost like an ultra deep squat is what it feels like, right? There's a crazy stretch. It gives you a pump like up top, like up in where your tricep grows, where no one else grows. And but I worked up the sets of 5 like that with a 45 and a 25 on each side in the
That's
past
serious.
and gave myself bursitis in my fucking elbow because the joint's at a compromised position. You are getting probably some strength gains out of it, and you're reaching some tissue you can't get to, but you have to have a moderate weight when you're putting yourself at that kind of level. And I found out the hard way, and it got a little bit infected, and it got to the point where it was hot. Like you would touch it, and I had
I
you
remember this.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
fucking wild. So that was definitely a mistake.
for sure.
So and
You
that's
almost destroyed your
I almost
arms.
destroyed my fucking elbow joint because the fucking pump was so good. And I
Mhm.
was getting really strong at that time. So I was like, well, shit, I could do a 45. And I did a 45 the other day for like 10 or 12 and it was fine, but there's no way I'd ever put a quarter on that bitch. It's too much of a compromised position. I would say those are the first 2 that kind of pop up.
Well, I'll tell you, I actually had to quit doing the easy bar skull crushers years ago because it just bothered my elbows too much.
Yeah.
And that's when I switched to all dumbbells on that. So I think that was a movement I used to really like. I mean, me and you used to like battle on that
Yeah.
back in the day, but I just cannot do it anymore. So I think that's probably, similar to what you're talking about. One of the mistakes I've made in the past that you get attached to an exercise, and then even though it bothers you and you start getting tendonitis, like that's your body telling you to quit doing it.
Yeah.
And then I
Or
haven't.
do it in a different manner.
Yeah, exactly. So
Don't
like,
put just the plates on right out the gate, D.
but it's hard to listen to,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I would say that's one mistake. And then the other mistake that I kind of touched on with, that story about Tom Ryan is there's been times in the past where I've tried to like make everything, quote unquote functional, where sometimes you just got to say, hey, this is arm day. We're doing arms, we're doing curls. Like we don't have to worry about our core work on this.
Nah, bro.
We're just trying to get jacked.
Yeah. So when I'm programming arm workouts, I want to like punch motherfuckers in the face. I want the arm pump to be so nasty that literally they come out of there like, and we do arms on Friday too. So it's like you're finishing your week and it's like, I look forward to it because, you got through all the heavy stuff and you're really just banging arms and like getting onto your weekend. So I like really take my time with those workouts because I want to like blow people's minds.
Well, and don't you feel like from like a coaching and a programming standpoint, when you give that to your people at the end of the week, they're going to love it. And that's what they feel good going into the weekend. You can bury yourself on an arm workout and you're not going to puke.
No,
it's not like a squat workout or something where the intensity, when it's ratcheted up so high, it could ruin your day.
Yeah, it's for sure.
Like no matter how hard you go on arms, you're going to get to the other side of it with a massive pump and feel like, oh, this gets stacked is the shit, blah, blah, blah. So it's like you almost like you kind of reward them for like really torturing them on the important stuff.
Well, and one of my favorite things is like naming them crazy too. Like the arm gauntlet of hugeness. That was one of my favorite ones. This ain't your mom's arm workout. One of my other favorite ones. Yeah, we've had some arm assault. We've had some pretty funny
ones.
Arm annihilation. And those are brutal. Any of those gauntlet sets. And a lot of people can't do this at their gym because they can't superset like this. But like, having like 7-8 exercises in a row with different rep ranges and being able to knock them out is so fun. So there's definitely arm training. But I think once I understood that volume was making the difference, that's why I enjoyed those workouts, because I knew it wasn't just me that was going to benefit from it. I definitely did, but you could see the value through the whole community.
So I just thought of the time CT came out and put us through the arm gauntlet.
And I had to do like, I think I did like an 80 or 90 one-arm curl on the preacher bench because he was like yelling at me too.
I thought you did 100.
Maybe I did. No, you're right. I did do 100.
Yeah, because I think I did. I was 80 like, and you got 100. Yeah, it was almost like a.
It's
like you're pulling your family up over the cliff.
Yeah, it was like a clean curl with CT yelling at me. It was amazing.
So the funniest thing I remember about that workout, he came out, he put us through that tricep gauntlet.
Oh yeah.
It was 10 different. I think it was 10 different sets of dumbbell sculls.
Yep.
From like 50s down to 5s and then back up to 50s, and you had to do 20 at each weight.
Yeah, I remember.
So it ended up being like 200 reps of skull crushers. Well, I think like I got all the way down the gauntlet. I'm working back up and I got to like the 30s. So now I'm on like, 140 reps of skulls.
Yeah. Oh, so you go down and then back up 20.
You went down and back up. It's ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
So I'm working my way back up. We have a whole line of guys and CT's like yelling. I get up and I'm like trying to get CT to smack me. Like he didn't even like kind of know how to take it,
Yeah.
So I get down. He's like standing on top of me yelling. I'm like, I'm on the floor. And then I was so pumped because they came to record CT Fletcher putting us through this arm workout.
I remember that.
And you remember his YouTube video or his YouTube channel at the time was like the biggest thing out there.
Yeah.
Well, I remember like a week later, it was going to, like, hey, the arm workout's going to be live. And you text me and you're like, D, look at the CT's YouTube workout and look at the first comment. And the first comment said, who's that little white bitch crying on the floor at 107? So I skipped to 107 or whatever the time was, and
it's fucking you.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
So they only showed like me in 10 seconds of the video, but it was the part where
it was the part where you were dying.
It was the part where
your like hips were coming off the
ground.
My
hips on the ground, and the first comment was calling me a little white bitch crying on the floor.
That's amazing. I completely forgot about that.
So that was my moment at my 15 minutes of fame with CT
Fletcher. It's on your 180th rep. I do remember because you guys, whoever you were doing, who was you doing it with?
Man, it was like me and Thomas, and
that's right, Thomas and someone else. And like you guys were obviously doing your best, but your hips were coming off the ground.
We were just slamming the dumbbells off the floor, like all form was out the window. It was
so amazing.
The only way we were surviving is because we had to, because it was CT Fletcher.
Yeah, you would have never been. Yeah.
There was no way you could quit.
And that's what they highlighted on the
That's
video.
what they highlighted, and I got roasted. I remember thinking, like, I wanted to reply to him, like, you didn't see the first 10 sets we did.
You didn't see the first 200 reps. Yes. That's so good. I mean, you got to laugh something off like that.
Yeah, you got
right?
to. What can you do?
That's right. I did tell you, like, I remember watching it thinking, oh, shit.
Well, and if you remember, too, at the time, this was like, your following was blowing up. You're all over bodybone.com. I think I had, like, just started my Instagram account. No one knew who I was yet. I felt like this is my first time being in someone's video.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And it didn't go so well.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
The Do you program like straight up arms for the wrestlers, like in the ebooks and stuff, D?
So I do. With it, I don't in the ebooks, because most of the time when coaches are running like a high school or college program, they don't have 5 or 6 days a
Yeah.
week where they have the guys. So usually it'll just be one or two accessories after after their main
Main
lifts.
lift. Okay. That
But
makes
what I
sense.
do like with Colin and with my Ohio State guys when they come out, usually
What's Pitt want to do?
well, I'll tell you what Romero and what those guys want to do is if they come out and we do our speed work, we deadlift, we do all this hard stuff, I almost kind of reward them. Like once we're done, I'm like, all right, you guys want to do some arms?
Hell
And
yeah.
the answer is always yes.
Always
So even
yes.
these elite D1 athletes, they want to do arms. So it's
good.
kind of like the way I reward them after, kind of like how you do at the end of the week for you
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
And we don't really overdo it. We might just do a couple heavy things or maybe do one little circuit or whatever. But I'm willing to bet the 3 days a week that Colin's at Old School Gym, he does some type of arm workout every time.
I ain't mad at him. Got nothing but love for you, Colin.
Right.
That's awesome. Anything else you can think of, D? That's a pretty fun topic.
Yeah, it was good, man.
Yeah. So look, if y'all want arms, you got to force them to grow CT style. You got to figure out rep ranges. You got to figure out different angles. It's just a game of angles. I mean, angles, reps, intensity.
It's flexion and extension. That's all it is.
Flexion and extension. It's like our high school project. All right. Training talk. That's Coach Myers. I'm your boy, Corey G. Appreciate everything. All your supplement needs, go to maxeffortmuscle.com. Appreciate y'all. Peace.
Boom.